hello everyone.
Hi.
So we are about to start our live, and today we have a surprise because our live is actually live and my guest is live with me. Yeah.
Yes.
So my guest today is my very dear friend Ahsan, and a colleague as well. We worked together for a while now, maybe 5 years.
5 years, yes.
First of all, I want to thank you for collecting all your courage to come on the live with me today and be my guest for an hour. But we are about to start our beautiful topic. But before that,
yes,
I would like you to introduce yourself to our audience. And we started having so many. Oh my God, we have more than 100. I'm not.
Wait, are you serious?
No, but you have enough courage to really face.
Do you guys know that lockdown is over? You can go out.
Okay, so welcome once again, and thank you for being our guest for an hour. Please introduce yourself a little bit to my audience,
Sure.
and that are going to be your audience as well.
Sure. Thank you, Maya. Thank you for having me. And guys, honestly, thank you so much for joining. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Ihsan. I'm a business psychologist with a human capital consultancy in Dubai. And the reason why I'm here with Maya is to talk about a topic that's actually been on our minds for the last 3 months, I would say, which is basically the concept of courage. Where does it come from? Why are people more courageous than others? And what's the line between fear and courage? And also we'll do an exercise with them
at the end. So tune in, stay with us until the end, because we have an exercise which is going to be a takeaway for the end for you. So if we need to start talking about this topic that we are both passionate about, and I know this morning you did something crazy and courageous as well. We're going to tell them a little bit later about it. Let's define courage. What is actually courage? Is it something we're born with? What is it? What is courage?
Yeah, so I think, like from my perspective, what I would say is an act of courage is doing something you're scared of. I mean, fear is definitely a component that you have to have. So being fearful, doing something even though you're afraid of it, following through. But also one important attribute is the attribute of having a purpose behind it. So why are you doing this action? What's the end game for you, rather than acts of spontaneity? And we have a reason why, a few examples and a reason why I think purposeful or being purposeful is an important attribute.
I love actually what you said, and all of these keywords that you mentioned. Daniel Putman, one of the famous professors that at the University of Wisconsin, actually really tackled the topic of courage, and specifically the emotions of courage, the emotions that rise within us and actually lead to courage. And he said, I'm going to read the quote because it's exactly embedding the words that you actually mentioned. Courage involves deliberate choice in the face of painful or fearful circumstances for the sake of a worthy goal.
Yeah, exactly.
So it needs to have a worthy goal behind
definitely. There has to be something that's, I mean, it's okay to also be spontaneous, but I think the best way you learn from things is when you have that purpose behind what you're doing.
Have you done something courageous and spontaneous at the same time?
Absolutely, yes, definitely.
Putting you on the spot here.
No. So this is something that I would give as an example of stupid courage and something you shouldn't do. But I signed up to go for rollerblading in the streets of London around Christmas time in Santa Out. So basically, it's not just me, right? So hundreds of people signed up to do this event. It sounded really cool. And it does sound cool. I mean, can you imagine like hundreds of people of like Santas just rolling down the streets of London?
Oh wow,
for like
my daughter Melody would love to do this.
Yeah, for like 20 kilometers. And I signed up to it because I thought if you know how to rollerblade when you're 5, it's something that you will know when you're 25 or when you're 30. It's not something you forget. It's like riding a bike.
Yeah, okay.
So I signed up for it, and I would tell you the biggest mistake I did is I didn't try before. I didn't practice. I just went to the event. And I got on my blades and I didn't fall, so I thought that's a good sign. So I'm sure I'll pick it up. And I realized that I actually don't know how to stop. So I went up to a stranger and I asked him, a random stranger, I said, how do you stop? And he looked at me and he said, you don't know how to stop, what are you doing here? I said, no, I'm sure I know, just can you remind me? And he showed me how, and I thought, great, perfect. I'll test it out when we get on the road. But I didn't realize that you're actually on the road with cars, traffic. Like it's really dangerous if you don't know how to read it, or if you don't remember. So we started the event. Everything was starting out fine, and everything was going okay. And then the streets of Europe, right? There's always going to be a downhill. We got onto this downhill, and I was just speeding through everybody, like hundreds of like Santas speeding through, because I didn't know how to stop. And I basically just screamed, get out of the way, get out of the way, get out of the way. And I just figured, okay, I have to figure it out. And so I saw a very large man, and I decided he would be what would stop me. And I just used him as to not just assume that if you know something when you're 5, you can just pick it up.
We're going to talk about learning from doing some sort of stupid act of courage.
Yes, that was
as you called it. I didn't say, you said it. We all did something that is, you just show some courage, and then later you fall in trouble.
You were telling me about the date that you had.
Yeah, but do you really want me to share in public? Well, I can share because my husband doesn't have Instagram. So a long time ago, I actually went on a date, and this particular person, he said, do you cycle? And we're like, yeah, I love cycling.
We've all been there.
Yeah, I've done cycling. It's really good. So like, I really showed that I know it. So we went to this date, and he started taking out the bike from his car, and he took it in pieces, like not a whole bike, like it was really a professional bike, right? So he took the wheels and he started assembling it, and then he handed me one of those shoes that you clip on the bike. So it's really professional cycling. And he's like, you're okay? I said, yeah, I'm okay. And then the bike was so light, so I'm like, yeah, okay, it can be like any other bike. Okay. So I went on the bike, Ahsan, literally, and maybe 100 meters from where we started, I started on the bike, and I rode the bike straight to bushes. I couldn't stop because I was like really focusing. I went out from the bushes like from the Vietnam War with all the scratches on my face.
I do have one question.
Yeah.
How cute was he? I mean,
not as cute as my husband now. So.
Okay.
The thing is that I had the courage to do it, but it was once again stupid courage. Going back to the definition that we had, so it's really involves a choice that we deliberately take in the face of painful or fearful of whatever.
Exactly.
But it's very important to have a worthy goal that is going to drive us.
Drive you.
Yeah?
To motivate you.
To overcome this fear. But now it takes us to another big questions. What stops people from being courageous?
So I would say there's many things, but the biggest thing, and I think this goes hand in hand with courage, which is being afraid. And it's okay to be afraid, because somebody actually defined this really well for me. Without fear, you will do foolish things, but without courage, you would never experience the unknown. And so it's finding the line between the two. But what stops people from it is just fear of a future outcome. And that's something that I find really interesting, because you're not afraid of what's happening to you now, you're afraid of what could potentially happen, and you actually believe it.
I've heard this many times, the acronym of fear, false evidence appearing real. So sometimes the fear is just evidence in our head. They look real, but they are not actually real.
Exactly.
But where does confidence play a role here? And I'd like everyone as well to think with us. How can confidence here play a role, like fear and confidence, in relation to courage? So we're fearful from something, but how can our confidence level really help in this?
No, I think definitely being prepared, right? So if you have the skill, if you have the knowledge, if you have the competence, you master it, you understand it. It doesn't necessarily mean you might be less fearful. You might still be afraid, but at least it does give you the confidence to take that action. And another way, I think, even to tackle fear is just ask yourself, like, honestly, what's the worst thing that could happen? And my colleagues have asked me that question so many times before I make a decision. It's like, what is the worst thing that could happen to you?
Yeah.
And most of the times you will realize that your response to that question is unrealistic, or if it's something that may not be very logical. And if it is logical, think about how you would respond. So actually, what are the risks involved, and what would you do in that situation?
But sometimes, you know, our confidence level, whether it's our confidence in our ability that we can actually do it, it can help us overcome that fear, because we are confident that we can do it. Then we can go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
But sometimes there is other stoppers that can be our interpersonal confidence. Maybe within us, we really believe that we can do it, like we have the ability, but then other people might stop us, our environment.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's good that you brought up that point, actually, because that's the other thing that stops people from being courageous, is also assumptions, right? Like, if I said this, he or she would react in that way, or the outcome would come out this way.
Our bias,
or just, you know, just making that assumption that you just assume people are just going to react in a certain way. But again, it really is all in your head. I mean, and like in my situation and any other situation that we do, which is stupidly courageous, you come out, at least you learn something, right? You learn that you're not going to just randomly go on a date and cycle into the bushes, or
you're not going to take this against me, right?
No. I love that stuff. but that's the point, right? So it's about that. It's just about these assumptions that also stops people from being courageous.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. But as well, you know, sometimes people are hesitant, like they want to do that thing. I give you an example. We went on holiday last year. I actually put the video on my Instagram account. We went on holiday, and the kids were and my husband, who is really, by the way, a crazy, courageous person.
He's a professional skydiver.
He's a professional skydiver, and he's very adventurous. I was like this before. But we went on this holiday, and him and the kids, they were trying to learn how to do the trapeze, you know, the circus trapeze.
Yes.
And for days, like we were there for a week, and every day they would go, there's a specific time, everybody will learn. They climb these high stairs, and then they hold into the bar, and then they swing, etc. And then there is a net. For 3 days, I was going back and forth, hesitant. And they're like, oh, you're gonna do it? I'm like, yeah, maybe, let me see. So it took me actually 3 days to collect this courage to really climb and finally do it. I screamed, but I'm glad I did it. So this hesitation, is it fear?
Yes, absolutely. So you had an answer for yourself, right? Like, you thought, maybe what's the worst thing that could happen? You would fall, but there is a safety net at the end of the day. So again, and it doesn't mean that you're not afraid. You're still going to be afraid, but the fact is that you actually did it. So,
They say, there is a say, I'm not really sure how it is said, but they say that the difference between a hero and a normal person is that the hero is 5 minutes more brave than the normal person, because they actually stick around, they don't give up.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it also got me thinking of the difference between courage and bravery as well. And you hear about so many stories of people rescuing other people, and it's not like they thought about it. You can't plan that. So pulling out a person out of a water that was drowning, or just going into standing up to a bully, for example. But in that case, when you ask them, and I read this somewhere, but when you ask them, why did you do it? Their answer was, I didn't think about it. The person needed help. And for that individual, that is what motivated them, is to help others.
So it's really good. So is there different type of courage? Because before, I feel I was more courageous in certain things. Now I'm more courageous in different things. How do we change? They say with age, you become less adventurous. So what can you say about
No, I definitely think there are differences, different types. So physical courage, skydiving, or doing anything that's physically risky is one form. Moral courage could be another, right? So basically standing up for something, or a cause that you really feel passionate or purposeful towards. It could also be emotional courage, which is actually being vulnerable, and it's courageous because it's scary, right? You're putting yourself out there in different situations from an emotional standpoint.
Yeah, I actually, when I was doing some reading and in preparation for the live, so many different types of courage popped up in front of me, but mainly there is different sort of ways how we define courage. One of the ways that I looked at is that we have the fear, yet we choose to take actions.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. That's it. Yeah, and I think, and that's the difference with brave people. With bravery, you're not afraid. You just do it, right? But with courage, is you know you're afraid, and that's okay. You need to have it, but it's actually moving towards it as well.
Yeah, excellent. And then as well, there was some things that I came across is about follow your heart.
Yeah.
When you follow your heart, you are able to find the courage. Which is maybe having the purpose. So if you really have the purpose, like we see sometimes mothers defending their kids, like with whatever force they have, to actually protect them or to find the courage to raise them. Maybe sometimes single mothers, or people who are doing something purposeful from the heart, or people who have missions. They would go to the war, on missions to support people, or live in, like now we can take for example the people working in the healthcare. So this is a true example of really having the courage to face this pandemic on daily basis.
And it's different forms, right? It could be, it shows itself up in parenthood, with your partners, at work, when you take a risk, when you face an intimidating person, or you deal with a very difficult, for example, client that is very critical, and you go up to them and you even invite them to give you feedback. That is an act of courage.
Yeah.
It could be small, it could be medium, or it could be very large scale. But I think that everybody has it.
Yeah.
It's just about tapping into it and seeing how it plays out and learning from it. And I think courage and resilience go really well together, right? They can't basically exist without it.
Yeah, and this is one as well type of courage that you need when you are faced with adversity. Like in these current circumstances, many of us, we are faced with adversity. People who have businesses, people who are losing their job, or they are risking to lose their jobs. People who are, living in different countries. Like for me now, I really I'm facing this because I'm with the kids in one country. I keep repeating this because it's my daily life, and my husband is in a different country, so I'm like really gathering all my courage to face this adversity that we are living.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's very interesting, all these different types that are popping in front of us. But now I want us to dive a little bit deeper into the most important part, which is how do you find courage? Because the next part, me and Ahsan, we're going to discuss how do we gather, or how do we collect, or how do we find this courage. I have so many people approaching me now. I think one of them is actually listening, telling me, Maya, I want to move career, but I'm afraid, Or another person asked me as well, I want to start filming videos, but I'm afraid. I recall, because I haven't been on social media for a long time. I've been doing what I'm doing for years, but as well I needed courage to come on social media. And I remember the first video that I've done, I was in Riyadh, in Saudi, in the hotel. I put my phone and actually filmed myself 53 times.
Wow. 53 times?
Yeah, I'm not joking. I swear.
Wow.
And each time I stop, and each time I'm like hesitant, and each time I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do it. But then at the end I did it. Yeah. And if I recall 1.5 years back now, I'm on social media, I can go live, and I overcame this fear.
Exactly.
But let's discuss, and I would like us to share with the audience, how do we find this courage? We said the first thing we already highlighted is focusing on a goal, focusing on the purpose, that this purpose is going to motivate you. Whatever you will do, keep your eye on this goal, because it's going to motivate you to overcome your fear, to really go ahead and do it and reach your goal.
Exactly.
So first, the starting point is actually having a goal. Yeah? What other things do you think we need?
So I think, I would definitely agree the goal is very important. And I would say, before you take on whatever courageous act you're going to do, ask yourselves 2 questions, right? So the first one we already talked about, which is what are the possible worst case scenarios that could happen? But because we're so prone to think negatively, every single worst case scenario you do think about, definitely balance it with a best case scenario. And that's something we don't do. So before before you're going to go live, or before you speak publicly, or before you take on this extremely scary adventure, what is the best thing that could happen to you? You could have an amazing view, you could meet new people, you could see new things, you could learn new things about the culture or the country you're going. For those, for example, who like traveling alone, and that's something we never ask ourselves. So we always think of the worst case scenario. So it's definitely balancing between the two. One thing I like to personally do is make it fun. Just like find the funny in it, because it is funny. I mean, come on, like rollerblading.
Yeah, and now we laugh about it, right?
Yeah, but it also allows you to be in the present, and that's the thing that we don't do a lot of. We're always future focused. We're always thinking about tomorrow, or even literally the next hour of what am I going to do. But you're not being present, and that's one thing that you can have. You can actually have fun in. So to give you an example, you were asking me about this morning. So a friend contacted me. I think maybe she might be online. I'm not sure. But she said, let's go flyboarding today morning. And the thought of your feet wrapped up in the ocean or in the water is actually scary, because you're not swimming, you're floating, but logically it's just really frightening.
You're not in control, right?
You're not in control, right? You're actually tied to a jet ski, and you're just gonna like basically hover over the water, and it's just the fact that your legs are bound is what scared me a lot. But then I thought to myself, if I don't do it, I'm not gonna go live on Instagram.
Exactly. You're gonna just be in the water. You're gonna hit the water.
Exactly. But
myself, what is the worst thing that can happen? I will just fall on the net, because there is a net.
Exactly. I was wearing a life jacket.
But what is the best thing that can happen is that I have a video and I have a memory that I cherish.
Yeah.
And now I laugh about myself screaming like a baby.
Exactly. But in my case, I think for me it was I just was in the present, and I tried to make it funny. So coming out of the water, just like you're some kind of a magician or whatever. That's funny. I mean, that's just being present. And for me, it actually I ended up.
But then you ended up putting it on Instagram. I saw you.
But I didn't fly. That was the best thing. I did eat a lot of. I drank a lot of seawater for breakfast. But it's something that I just thought I'd do differently.
Yeah. But as well, let's talk a little bit about those people who they have this amazing idea, and it's eating them seated around the meeting room in a boardroom, and they just want to say it, and they don't have the courage to say it. I have a mantra that personally helps me when I'm in these kind of situations. I always tell myself, either I will succeed or I will learn, not I will fail. So I will learn how I will say it differently again, how I will do it again.
Or very senior people, and the thing is, they always wish they said something, but they wished it later. So they go, oh, I just wish I thought of that, or I wish I said something in the meeting, and it sounds really small, but to that person, it's scary.
Yeah, I want to touch on the element of challenging ourselves here as well, if you just allow me. Sometimes when we challenge ourselves because we want to reach a goal. We're goal-oriented. But there are so many people that they challenge themselves, but they hit the wall 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and they don't recover. Like I see people I know, they open a business, it fails. They open a second business, it fails. Or they move one job, they don't do right. They take the leap of faith and they move another job, or they change career, it doesn't work. And they keep repeating the same mistake.
Yeah.
One element is really missing here, is the learning.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's an example of maybe, it's people who are just not learning, or they're just repeating the same thing over and over again, but they're not actually doing anything about it.
So getting skilled and learning and getting some knowledge, and please, for God's sake, everything is free. Now you can go online for public speaking. You have hours of free learning, of free knowledge, of things. Even you can actually do a video and put it online, or ask somebody to evaluate you. So there is no excuses. If you want to really overcome this fear, you need to build this confidence. You need to challenge yourself to learn something new.
And just do it. Just do it.
Just do it.
Man. Don't even listen to yourself. Honestly, just do it. It's just voices in your head that's just trying to protect you, or your ego, or they don't want you to fail.
And we get better at it. Like if I look at my videos 1.5 years ago, it's not like now. I didn't do any live 1.5 years ago. So it's really taking that step. And it doesn't need to be a huge step. It can be a small step. Everybody has their own limitation, and everybody has their own pace.
Absolutely.
I take time to learn new things. And it's fine with me. I do it my own way because I'm competing with myself.
And I would definitely also suggest that people need to be aware of a courageous thing they've done, because a lot of people have. But the issue is, we forget about them, we don't think about them, we weren't present in the moment, so to them it wasn't a big deal. But it actually is. And I think maybe surround yourself with people who remind you of it. Remind yourself.
I just put a post about 7 types of people that you should surround yourself with. So have a look at it after this.
No, but it's true, right? Like you don't think about it, but it's just about, and ask yourself, why did you do it? So why did you choose to do that stunt you did with your family? Or why did I, for example, go hiking alone in Egypt with a random stranger I've never met before at night? What made me do that? I mean, it was scary, and I will never do it again. But I'm glad I never backed out of it, because at the end, I met some amazing people. I got to know him, and he's like a proper Bedouin in Egypt. And the view was just amazing. So it was very emotional, but it's something that I'm so glad I didn't back out of it. But I would never do it again. I think
because
the first
you took
time,
this decision
it was
at
a
that
risk,
time.
And it was a risk, and it's a safety thing.
As well, one thing is that when we do the first step, we need to practice on daily basis to upgrade it, to really progress and become better at it, right? So if you decide to do, let's say, if you decide to speak your mind up in meetings, start by saying a small thing, and then start by practicing. Don't back out. So you need to practice it.
Actually, I want to share something. A friend of mine, I'm not sure if she's on, Zainab, but she...
I met Zainab.
She actually said something to me which is so I think it's like one of the smallest way to practice courage. So she said to me, let's just for the next week, my challenge to you is to do the opposite of what you would normally do, or what you would naturally say. Just literally don't think about it, and just do the opposite. And I think my friends called me schizo that week. They were like, your personality is a little bit weird. But it was actually a nice way to enhance that muscle of courage, or at least try something different. And it's just being instant and spontaneous about it. But I would actually invite some of you to try it, but maybe in a low-risk situation. Don't go in front of the CEO.
So doing something out of your comfort zone.
Just the opposite, or something unnatural to what you would normally do. Or say, it doesn't have to be an action. It could be just small things that you would share with others, or a choice you would make to share that feedback or not to share that feedback. Naturally, inside you would say, oh, I shouldn't. Just do it.
One powerful question as well we ask when we're challenging people, and in coaching is, I love this question. When was the last time you did something for the first time? Just going out of your comfort zone. And I ask you this question. When was the last time you did something for the first time? We all have these things that we want to do, skydiving, but there are things as well. You want to do skydiving?
I would never do it.
We'll see. I'll challenge you with that one. I said this, but I went ahead and did it. I was younger. I might do it again.
Really?
I have a skydiver at home, professional.
Never do that.
Never say never.
Okay.
But as well, challenging ourselves to do something out of our comfort zone, not necessarily in activities or adventure, because we said different people have different types of courage. It might be this step that you want to take at work, or this skill you want to learn. Now I'm really challenging myself to learn about e-commerce. I really needed this courage to really learn this part of the business, and I really challenged myself to dive into it. So really looking at something that you've never done before, but as well one very important topic that I want to pop your brain as well, related to courage and leadership.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
So those who are in leadership position, they require courage, and it's obvious.
Yes.
But where does, you know, the great leaders, how come they have this courage, and how do they translate this courage into action, and how they influence their teams with this?
So I genuinely believe what differentiates leaders from great leaders is one attribute is people who are brave and courageous. So basically courageous leaders, and it's things like having a daring vision, right? So actually coming up with something that's radical, that's innovative, that's different, and it's scary because you don't know how it's going to turn out. So courageous leaders are people who can actually put in place something that is daring in terms of vision. Maybe another thing that they could also do is invite challenges, right? So it's leaders who want to hear difficult feedback from team members, from stakeholders.
Are you saying this because your boss is on the live?
Yes, I'm talking about you guys. But I genuinely believe that it's actually people who can actually invite criticism and not take it personally. And it is courageous, by the way, to do that. Imagine, like, you go up to a person you know is very critical, compared to a good friend who's always fluffy with you.
Yeah.
And if you choose to go to that difficult personality and you ask for that feedback, that to me is courageous. So that's maybe a second thing that they would do. And then the other thing I think is definitely navigating ambiguity.
Yeah.
So when you are in, like now in the situation we're in, nobody knows what's going to happen. Everyone has different predictions, but actually making sound decisions and being confident about it.
Yeah.
That's an act of courage as well in leadership.
Now in these current circumstances, people working from home, people really navigating through these challenging days, I'm a great believer in personal leadership.
Yes.
So we are our own leaders, and we need to challenge ourselves and lead ourselves to be more creative, to try something new, to navigate into new things. And you know, Peter Drucker, who's one of the he passed away in 2005, and he's one of the if you want, the fathers of modern business management. He said one time, when you see a successful business or a successful organization or, you know, successful business, there might be a courageous person or a courageous decision that was taken.
Absolutely.
And now in these days, more than any time before, we need to take these courageous decisions to really move forward. Like now I'm taking this courageous decision to upgrade my business. Thinking, and you know, maybe I need the cash flow that is not as before. Now we need to be realistic, but at the same time I need to really challenge myself and have this leap of faith to upgrade. Otherwise this decision, if I don't take it, might not take me to places. So I'm learning, I'm calculating the risk, I'm doing whatever it takes that is going to support me to take this courageous decision.
And I just want to add one thing as well, which is very important. If you, for example, find yourself in a situation where you could have done something courageous or not, and decide not to do it, again, don't be hard on yourself. You wouldn't know anyway the outcome, so there's no point in saying, oh, I regretted it or whatever. You don't know what could happen, but don't be hard on yourself and try again. Right? So the dog agrees.
Yes.
Try again, right? Like wake up the next day and do better or do something different. But don't be so hard on yourself and live in the past, and don't even go and live in the future. It's just being present now and just learn to do it differently the next time.
This is amazing. Before we do this exercise, I'm gonna say some more hellos and check what we have, some comments on some questions. Hello everyone, thank you so much. Yes, Amuna, thank you so much for joining. Betty.
Hi David.
Hello everyone. Wow. So if you have the questions, please don't hesitate to send them in the Q&A. Okay, brilliant.
So this question we can tackle at the end.
Okay, beautiful. So, hey Adnan, good to see you. Maya, Mayush, hello. Hello Mayush, hello everyone. Good to see everybody. So, we're going to do one exercise with everyone. Maybe we should come closer if we see some
read.
people. Yeah, if we see some people contributing and participating. If you have a pen and a paper on your phone, in your head, somewhere near you, would like you to participate with us in this exercise. Muhammad, welcome back. Good to see you. Adnan, good to see you too.
Hi, Reem. Hi, Radhika.
So we can wave at all of those people.
Okay.
Hello,
Thank
hello,
you,
hello,
thank
hello. Beautiful. Thank you for joining. Amazing.
Hi, Gauri.
Wow. We should do this
Hi,
more
Fanny. Hello, bonjour. Hi, PS.
often. Mahdi, thank you so much for joining. Mahdi as well is a loyal for the be our guest.
Yeah.
So are you ready for the exercise? Yes?
You have to comment, guys.
Yeah.
You really have
So
to comment.
let's start this exercise. So once again, for those who joined us just now, we are talking about courage and how do we find courage and how do we build courage. So we're going to do an exercise to end our life with. You see the time how it passed?
Yep.
So the time passed so quickly. We're going to do this exercise together. What we would like you to do is that we would like you to think, what is one thing you would do if you were not afraid?
Yeah.
Yeah? I want you as well to think about
Okay.
that. One thing you would
yeah.
do if you are not afraid.
I think for me, it would definitely be skydiving.
Yes?
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold you into this, huh? And it's
Yeah.
live.
Yeah.
We have 228 here and 50 here. So we want to hold you accountable for this. Okay?
That's
My
one
thing is that I have a business idea. If I was not afraid, I would start it soon.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah? But it has nothing to do with what I do.
Amazing. Oh, wow.
Okay,
That's really good.
so I'm not gonna share the business
No,
idea.
no, no.
Somebody might steal it, right? I didn't have that. So I have a business idea. If I'm not afraid, I would go ahead and start it now.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you think about it? You can share with us if you thought about one thing you would do if you were not afraid. Let's see if somebody's going to share.
Let me see.
Nada, come on, share it with us.
Basma as well.
Scuba diving, Adnan. Skydiving. So one thing you would do differently if you were not afraid,
Yeah.
or you would do. Come on, we have skydiving, we have scuba diving. Come on, Nada, what would you do differently if you were not afraid? Mayush, share with us.
So for those who just joined, what would you do if you weren't afraid? What is one
What
thing?
would you do differently? Be on live. Yes, you should do this, Vera. And you should cook live. She's a great cook, Vera. Swimming, Deepika. Yes, beautiful.
Oh, amazing, Deepika.
Will
You can do
resign
it.
today? No, Nada, don't resign yet. Nada just started a new website for her.
wants to resign.
Yeah, Nada, write your website, please, so we can get people to
Carol-
follow your website and see you.
Carol saying, quit my job and travel the world. I'm with you, buddy. We're gonna do it together.
Nada.
I mean, not quit my job, goodness.
Be my own boss, Mahdi. Be my own boss is beautiful. We have so many people commenting. So this is the first
another
thing.
page,
Please, if you
sure.
did not share it with us, nadahawa.com, go check her website. Great coach.
question.
Now, so the first step,
You shared it.
yeah, first thing
Yeah.
is that
You shared it.
what is one thing you would do if you were not afraid?
Yes.
The second question we have for you, if you go ahead and do this thing,
Yeah.
what is the worst thing that can happen?
So, worst thing that can happen and the best thing that can happen.
Yeah.
So think about these two.
So what is the worst thing that can happen? What is the best thing that can happen?
Yeah.
Right? So if I do this thing, what is the worst thing that can happen? What is the best thing that can happen? So if we take an example, you're skydiving.
Oh goodness. So the best thing that can happen.
No, start with the worst
The
thing.
worst thing
What
that
is the
can
worst thing that can happen? How many people die from skydiving?
I
God
will
forbid.
have heart failure.
You're only in your early 30s.
I mean, that's what I think. That's what I believe.
Why? Do you have any health issues?
No.
So why this is an option on the table?
Okay, I'm live now. No, but it definitely that would be the worst thing that could happen is that I would just stop breathing in air up there.
Have you heard about somebody stop breathing when they
Somebody
skydiving?
told me for the first 6 seconds you're not breathing, but then
Who's
you're
this
fine.
person?
She tried it.
Make sure. Okay.
But the best thing is
So the second thing, what is
Yeah.
the best thing that can happen?
It's knowing the fact that I actually conquered a fear that is huge for me. And I don't even have phobia of heights, but it's knowing the fact that I've actually conquered it. So these are the two things for me.
Yeah. What about if you think about being up in the sky? I discovered the most wonderful feeling when I skydived. I actually skydived. I was 23 years old. I skydived in New Zealand. Imagine with me the green fields.
Yeah.
I literally dived into the clouds over the green fields where they filmed The Hobbit.
A friend of mine actually did the same thing. I think, Fanny, you skydived in New Zealand, right?
Yes.
So she's
Wonderful.
she just told me that story, but that's the same experience.
Yeah, so Fanny, we're counting on you to hold
She will.
Ahsan accountable and
She will.
skydive, yeah? If I go live, the worst is to run out of idea. Well, this is the next step we're going to do for you, because we said, what is the one thing you would do if you were not afraid? The second thing, what is the worst thing that could happen? What is the best thing that can happen? Now, I want you to think with me, what is these things that I need to do to make sure the best thing that can happen to me? What do I need to learn?
Yeah.
So for example, if we take Vera for example, if I go live, the worst thing is run out of ideas. The best thing, I have done it. Beautiful. So to avoid running out from ideas, what would you do? You rehearse, you do few videos alone, you prepare your script. You know, I have gone hundreds of lives. I still have scripts.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean everybody
Actually,
has
somebody
scripts.
asked a question, and it's really related to what you're saying. Is
Yeah.
how can a person overcome their fear of public speaking?
It's called Quiet.
Yeah.
It talks about
introverts.
the best public speakers are actually introverted people, and you can overcome your public speaking fear, because, by the way, public speaking is the #1 fear worldwide, more than death actually.
Yeah.
So rehearsal, learning skills, learning techniques, so many things you could
Yeah,
learn
absolutely.
to actually overcome the fear of public
Yeah.
speaking. Rehearsal, rehearsal,
And
rehearsal.
what I would say, Maryam, is, or I would say to anybody who asked that question, is just try it in front of an audience, and just basically give it a go, right? So ask for feedback, invite feedback from people that you care about, and just do it.
Business is the best case. So here your next step is to think, how can I build this successful business that is going to help you gather this confidence and actually do and go ahead and do this successful
Hi,
business.
Faris. Nice to see you.
Amy, she said building my confidence. I think the live had disconnected a little bit. Thank you so much for those who joined just now. We're talking about courage and how do we build courage? How do we find courage? Ahsan, we have reached almost the end. We still have few more minutes left for the live. If somebody has any questions, to just send it across.
Yes.
Beautiful comments. Yes. Wave. Hello, Henry. Good to see you. Who else? Wow, so many people. Thank you so much for joining tonight.
Hello, Muhammad.
Beautiful. So now, because we reached the end of the session, you know, I am in the moment. You spoke about the importance of being in the moment, but my tummy is not in the moment. Most of the people here, they know that Friday night is pizza night for me. Yeah, so tonight is pizza night, and we have a guest for pizza as well.
We do.
Before we move and have the pizza, I would like to thank all of those people who joined us.
Thank you,
before we
guys.
wrap
Honestly,
up.
thank you.
I hope you benefited
Thank
at
you.
least from the exercise
By the
as
way,
well.
I've never done this before.
This is her first
I've
time.
never done this before. I've never even posted a video of myself. So.
Yeah, so this is why I said thank you for collecting your courage to join me tonight, because she's doing something for the first time as well. I would like to wrap up, although some people are still joining. Hello Fayyad, good to see you. Kenny, thank you. Nada, you love my library. You're free to choose any books next time, and you can borrow, just borrowing. My books are very dear to my heart. Any other questions
No.
here? Great background. Thank you so much, David, for the feedback. Thank you, everyone. I'm glad you liked it, Rania. Thank you so much. Thank you too. So
Ask us any questions as well.
yeah, even if you had any questions you couldn't send across, Muhammad, always awesome to have you as well. Thank you too, Vera, for joining. I would like, if you have any questions you didn't want to send it across in the live, feel free to send it via message at a later stage. I'm happy to answer all of you as well.
Yes.
I just want to wrap up with a very, very meaningful quote that I love related to courage. Courage doesn't always roar, so you don't really need to make noise to show you are courageous. Sometimes courage is the little tiny voice at the end of the day that says to us, I will try again tomorrow.
Yep.
So if there is a voice in your head that is telling you, it's okay, try again tomorrow, try again tomorrow. Yeah?
Yeah.
So it's very important.
Yeah, there's no need to show your muscles.
Exactly, it doesn't need to roar. Thank you so much, everyone,
Thank
for
you,
joining
guys.
us. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Ahsan.
Thank you.
And see you next Friday with another episode of Be Our Guest. Thank you for being our guest for this hour. Have a lovely weekend, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Enjoy.
much.